Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. In today's video, I'm going to show you 5 strategy and tactical tips, 8 full games, and some RNG. And the tips will be how to detect enemy spotters. If you're in a field and you don't know where the enemy is, there's a method for determining if there are enemy tanks out there and when it's safe to advance. Number 2, I'm going to show you a trick that you can use to kill an enemy from full health down to 0, in this case with an autoloader, without him being able to reload in time to shoot back at you. I'm going to show you a crossover on the southeast Abbey. So this is on Abbey all the way in the south. There's a crossover you can use going over the top of a very high-peaked mountain. I'm going to show you a trick that I used to help allies in regards to situational awareness. That saved some of them. And I'm going to show you 8 full games with flanking maneuvers and with spotting, where I was able to flank and get around behind the enemy, turn the tide in the game. And I'm going to show you a spotting game where I spotted 14 tanks, and I did thousands of spotting damage per game. Okay, so let's get on to the games. Now this next tactic or tip that I'm going to give you has to do with the fact that the enemy left the whole entire flank kind of wide open. And I was able to detect that they did that, and I took advantage of it. Now, it doesn't show on the minimap, however, there is a Jagdpanzer in the corner. I'm going to show you where the Jagdpanzer is. The Jagdpanzer is right where that bush is over there, or at least he was. So the Jagdpanzer was there, we spotted him, we took shots at him. I got some spotting damage. He then left that area and he went around the corner to one of the roads pointing towards the center of the map. And I just took a shot, and I noticed that my sixth sense did not go off. And because my sixth sense did not go off, that means that they don't have someone spotting that field. And there are tanks out there on the field, and we're going to find them. Me and one of my allies are going to advance, and we're going to find those tanks. And I'm going to get some good shots on some of the enemy tanks. And they're going to have to retreat from their positions to come and take care of us. So you can see I'm advancing. I knew that I wasn't spotted, and I'm going to discover 2 SPGs. There's the first one. One way to handle it is to just do nothing, let your allies take it out, and do it in kind of stealth mode. You'll notice that I was not spotted. There's another SPG, and there he is. This time I'm going to get spotted when I shoot at him. Oh, I was just spotted. So unfortunately I missed that shot. The T-30 came back. Got a lucky shot on me. The T-30 has a long reload, so he's not going to survive. And then we uncovered another tank. In this case is the Object 704. Okay, so I'm not going to show the entire replay. I just wanted to show how vulnerable the enemy was because they didn't have a spotter, and it enabled me to detect that the field was not well defended. Now this next tactic is very useful if you have an autoloader. And basically I'm going to kill this tank, and he's going to be completely helpless. He'll be completely unable to do any damage to me. And having an autoloader does make a difference. But even if I didn't have an autoloader, I'll still have an advantage over him. And I'm going to show you how I did it. We're both within spotting range of each other. And I have 2 other allies, the M103 and the Batchat 25T, that he's got to worry about. And I'm going to fire at him as soon as I get the opportunity. However, now he sees the Batchat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till he fires his gun. Because as soon as he fires his gun, I can shoot at him and he can't shoot back at me until he reloads. So I'm waiting for him to fire. He hasn't spotted me. There he goes. And now I unload. So you can see, I guess it was around 7 or 8 seconds, I was able to kill that tank, and he probably was unable to reload, or he was just at about the edge of reloading, and he wasn't able to have a return fire against me. Okay, in this clip I'm going to show you a technique you can use. This is on the map Abbey. Basically, we cleared out on the east side, and I advanced down through, and there's a Rom Borsig protecting and up against the WZ. And what I did was I came to this area. You can see where it is, and I climbed up to the top here. And from here, you can spot the enemy base. You can spot some tanks, but you can get across without going through that gap where that ROM is. And if I wanted to, I could line up a shot on him easily. And of course, you can see I can get a shot on that FV 207 also. So in this case, I was actually able to get a kill from taking up this position. Now this position, not only does it allow you to spot the base, but you can cross over to the enemy side. I did take some damage, but I have done it before without taking damage. So that's the crossover on the southeast side of Abbey. And with some practice, you should be able to get down there a little bit more smoothly. And you can see that one of my allies also went up to the top. The Udas took the same path that I took. Or perhaps if I had come a little bit here and come down this slope, it would have been more gentle. Of course, when you go down a steep slope like that, you use your reverse while you're going down the hill, and it slows down your speed as you're going down the hill. This next clip is about situational awareness, being aware of what's going on in the game. This is a typical game. You'll notice that there's a few of my allies, the T10, the 121, and the RU-251, that are in the center of the map, the E6 region. I always advocate playing in the center of the map. Normally I would be there also. I'm working on a mission for the Object 260, which is TD10. It's caused 4,000 damage and remain unspotted while I'm causing the damage. So for that reason, I am far away from the action. But if you look, there are 3 tanks in the middle of the map, and what's going to happen is 2 enemy tanks are going to flank them. One will be an RU-251, and the other one's going to be an IS-7. The IS-7 is going to kill our RU-251, and one of the tanks is going to do damage to one of those other 2 heavy tanks in a short amount of time because of poor situational awareness. It's going to take 17 seconds before the T-10 and the 121 realize that they've been flanked. 17 seconds are going to go by. The current clock counter is 1424. After 1 second, the first RU-251 is going to show up. 17 seconds will elapse before the T-10 and the 121 turn around and realize that there are 2 enemy tanks right behind them. And here we go. Now there's the RU-251, just appeared on the mini-map in the F3 area. When that happens, there's a audible alert noise that every player hears, and there's the visual notification on the mini-map that the tank has appeared in the game and has become spotted. And I'm looking down this alley here to see if I can hit some of those tanks, and I noticed that my allies did not respond to the RU-251 that appeared behind them. And I just pinged the mini-map, and the T-10 turned around and the 121 turned his gun around. It's 14:06, so it was from 14:23, which means 17 seconds have elapsed. And it was because I pinged the mini-map that they finally turned their guns around. And they're going to take incoming fire. So you can see we got minus 206 damage and then minus 73 damage. What happened was the RU-251 did the initial flank, but then the IS-7, which is in the F3 area, he went up and he killed the RU-251 that was on my team, and then he withdrew back. So that shows you the importance of situational awareness in the game, and in this case I was able to help my allies when otherwise I would think that they would have noticed that on their own. There's a feature of World of Tanks called dynamic indicators, which is right here. And what this feature does is it changes the indicator based on the amount of damage that you receive. And there's 3 different sizes for small damage, medium damage, and large damage. And the reason why that's important is because it can help you determine the reload time of the enemy tank. If the amount of damage you take is small and they're using AP or APCR rounds, then chances are they have a fast reload time that does small amounts of damage. And if the amount of damage is large and they're using AP or APCR, then they probably have a long reload time. So by having the dynamic indicators turned on, which is right here, it can give you some information as to how much time you have before you're going to have another incoming shot from that particular tank. Now, in this game, I'm playing the Fache, which is a Tier 9 French tank destroyer. And if you look at the minimap, you'll see that the enemy won on the west side, and they're about to invade our base. And they're going to have, it looks like, 5 tanks that they're going to cap with. Now, the strategy is to try and hit as many different tanks as possible. Use HE rounds, use APCR. Try to hit the ones with the lowest HP to knock them out of the game. Some of my team members are coming in for a rescue. And you can see that also my team is also capping. It was a very tense game when I was playing. Because obviously you don't know who to shoot at. You've got allies running all over the place. Tanks are just blowing up. And that was it. So I wanted to show you that little battle because I thought it was interesting. It was a lot of fun to play. It was, how do I say it? It was a big adrenaline rush for me. But it also shows you the importance of keeping an eye on the minimap and make sure that any time your base is threatened, that you deal with the threat immediately. Played too many games where nobody defended the base and we lost by capping by a split second. What you're looking at is the endgame results for a game that I played, the battle results for a game about a month ago. And I was doing a mission where I had to be top by damage and top by EXP. And if you look at the enemy team, the enemy IS-3 got 1 hit point damage more than I did, which was enough for him to prevent me from completing the mission on this particular game. Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX 1357F. This is a French Tier 7 light tank, and the map is Malinovka. This is absolutely one of the tanks I absolutely most enjoy playing in the game. So I decided to do a passive scouting run. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 tanks already spotted. And I'm going to spot 3 more before the game is over. I'm going to spot 14 tanks in this game. Now, you'll notice that when you spot like this, I decided to go for this bush. You can see the bush that I went to and just drove right across. And you can make it from the other side, too. When you do this, you'll notice that my team is standing at base taking shots. And you want them to get as much damage in as possible. I'm going to do over 3,000 spotting damage in this game. We're going to win the game. But you have to be aware that as soon as the spotting dries up, you have to reposition. One way to do it is to go forward and take your chances in the water and the slopes, like not where the tiger is, but in the trees where it meets the water, and you're pretty safe over there. Or you have to reverse, go backwards, go up into the upper field where the town is, and spot the enemy as they go up the hill, and then allow your team to take new sniping positions. If the enemy does get to the hill first, which in this case some of them will, they're not going to crest the hill immediately. They're going to wait because cresting over the hill is very dangerous for them. And in fact, it would be to your advantage if they did that. You'll notice that a lot of the enemy team is not headed for the hill in this game. At least half of them are at the base. So the T-71, take the spotting damage, allow your allies to do as much damage as possible. Keep someone auto-aimed so that if you have the perk, I don't remember what it's called, Deadeye? No, Designated Target. If you have the Designated Target perk, they'll be spotted for 2 seconds longer. If you do fire your gun, have a route where you plan to run to. I will fire my gun, but I'll also know where I'm going to go. I know that I'm going to go into the lowest level around me and surrounded by hills as much as possible. So what I'm doing here is, even though I have my gun pointed towards that tank, I'm keeping my eye on the T-71 and the T-34-85M, which are to my left, to see what they're doing. They're at full health. They made it to a position where my allies cannot shoot at them anymore, which is why I stopped monitoring them. I wanted to, you can see that the T-71 is reversing. I'm going to spot 2 more Tiger tanks, which will bring it up to 13 tanks, and then once we start to clear out some of these tanks, I'm going to go run in to find the enemy SPG, which will be the 14th tank that I spot. I'll have 2 kills. As long as we're still getting spotting damage, and as long as there's a threat, I'm still going to be in this position. You'll notice that they still have a lot of tanks at their base. We still have a lot of tanks at our base. Both teams never made it to the hill. Their team is pretty much spotted. We know that they haven't gone to the hill. They decided to stay close, more close combat. The T-34-85 disappeared. Look at where the T-34 is. If you spot, look at where that T-34 is. Even though he just took a hit, you can sit there and spot. It's actually a safe place to be if you play it properly. You don't have to stay back where the T-71 is. One of the things that you do want to do if you're spotting is keep moving. By moving your vehicle, you decrease the chance that the enemy can lock on to you, and you decrease the chance that they'll hit you if they fire at you. The T-29, all he needs to do is keep them spotted, but because he has that great turret armor, he's going to be a huge threat to those tanks. Now the T-34 is a one-shot, so now is the time that I'm thinking about shooting at that T-34. Take him out of the game. Got 2,700 spotting damage. In this tier, 2,700 spotting damage is equivalent to 3 or 4 different tanks. Oh, did the T-29 die? Unfortunately, the T-29 died. I did not see how he died. Now look at what the T-71 is doing. He's making a run for it. Where he's going is somewhat of a safe position also, even though he just took a hit. He was too far from the building. And the Tiger, he's in a safe spot as long as, yeah, he took a hit from the SPG, as long as he keeps moving and keeps a slope surrounding him. Now's the time where I'm thinking, you know, we've got this tank we should take out of the game. He's a one-shot. Take him out of the game. And a lot of the enemy tanks are far enough away from me. I'm probably going to get spotted. A lot of the enemy tanks are far enough away from me that I need to re-spot them. You can see the T-71 is outside of my spotting range. The score is 8-7. We're going to clean up on these guys, though. One thing that I learned is that I missed a lot of shots. The accuracy of the gun, I'm reloading right now, the accuracy of the gun was not that great. I do carry AP and APCR rounds, mostly APCR, and the reason why is because you don't fire the gun very often. And if you're not going to fire the gun very often, you can see I spotted the 2, maybe I spotted 15 tanks in this game. I must have spotted 15 tanks. Okay, so I use the APCR rounds because I don't fire the gun very often, and therefore I might as well use the best rounds. If you're not going to fire them, there's no cost. And you can see I don't have a fire extinguisher. I'm going to talk about the fire extinguisher real quick. I don't use the fire extinguisher, and the reason why is because I don't catch on fire often enough to justify it. If it happens 1 out of every 40 or 50 games, why have the fire extinguisher? I would rather use the fuel consumable to get a little bit more speed and more engine power. And I use the food consumable to increase my spotting distance. The other thing that I discovered is if you have one crew member with firefighting at 100% and you catch on fire, you'll probably survive with a few hit points left. So you only really need to get one up there. And last of all, get your driver. If you have your driver and you can put firefighting, use the preventative maintenance first before you use the firefighting. Okay, so now I'm at a position where I'm going to run away as fast as possible. I only got 27 hit points left. Someone is shooting at me, which is obviously the T-71. Now I'm going to spot for my team. And we're going to take out as many tanks as we can. And we have our final threat remaining. The score is 12-8, and we're going to clean up in this game. I got 500 damage, 1 kill, 3,200 spotting. T-71, I don't know what he was thinking, but he's dead. And unfortunately, the IKV did kill me. And he is exactly at the location on the map where he was last spotted. I don't know about the remaining SPG. The score is 13-9. I did 652 damage, 3,250 spotting damage, got 2 kills. And there was some important gameplay and strategy, and our team did win this game. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.
Time to roll out.
Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX CDC. This is a French Tier 8 medium tank. It's also a premium tank, and the map is mines. I'm going to get 3 kills, 3,300 damage, and I'm going to get a mark of excellence. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way around the edge of the map to the north. I'm going to get behind the enemy flank. I'm going to shoot at them, and try and hit them on the side without being spotted. I'm going to shoot at their snipers, and then once we clear them out from that rear flank, I'm going to go and hunt down their SPGs, and we're going to win this game. Now over here is a place with a spotting bush where you can spot the rear of the enemy flank and shoot at them. And before, when I first started doing this maneuver perhaps a couple of years ago, it was rare that you would encounter another tank here. However, you have to be a little bit more cautious now because a lot of enemy tanks will show up in the same location.
Enemy armor is damaged.
When that tank gets hit like that and he's out in the open, he ain't going nowhere. And if you hit him in the tail, they're not going to spot you.
Enemy armor is hit.
He's almost at the edge of my spotting range. He's behind bushes now, which increases the chance that he won't spot me.
We didn't even scratch them.
In his situation, knowing that I'm hitting him, it would make sense that he would find better cover, but he did too little too late.
Enemy is hit.
And you can hear the audible noise that he's actually tracked right now, and now he's dead. There is another location that you can use to snipe for those tank destroyers. I'll see if I can find it. The other location, there's a house right over here, and right next to it there's some bushes. From over there you can also snipe on the tank destroyers, just like I'm doing right now. And you will be protected from the heavy tanks and the medium tanks at the base of the hill. So you can see that we won the hill.
We didn't even scratch them.
Scores 4-2. My Tiger P's coming around.
Enemy armor is damaged.
And he's out of the game. That's 1 kill. If you got to shoot down the roof of the house, shoot it down. It's better to use your ammo to knock that house down than to drive forward and expose yourself. Now, what do you think this T-29 is thinking? He has no idea what's about to happen. And that's the perfect angle for me to hit the deck of his hull armor, his upper plate. You can keep an eye on more than one tank. You do have to control the hill. If the enemy can... Look at that. I did 2,400 damage before I got spotted. Now, you do have to be wary. If the enemy controls the E7 area up on the hill, they will snipe at you. They can hit you there, and they will have the advantage. You notice that the Rom Borsig went to the lower level, and I noticed that also. So I decided to go after him. He's a lightly armored tank, even though I am. Chances are if I ram him, I can do more damage to him. He's only got 4 hit points left. So I'm going to go for the shoot and ram. You just have to slightly graze him. The score is 11-6. We've surrounded a lot of the enemy tanks. The T-34 is surrounded. Now he's gone. The VK is all by himself. The VK should have gone further south. If he had gone further south, he would have been able to hit our rear flank, and he would have been fairly safe back there, but he chose not to do it. Shoot and ram. No need to ram in this case. I was spotted, so the SPG knows that I'm coming, and I was actually surprised. I thought the SPG would be on the lower level here, but he wasn't. So I figured, oh, if he's up there, I'm not going to get a chance to kill him, because all my allies are going to shoot at him. And I did have 1,400 hit points. I was full health, so I have no worry about him hitting me with his gun. Okay, so that's it was 3,300 damage because there was some damage from an unspotted tank that is not shown in the in-game client right now. At least 324 spotting damage and 3 kills, and that is a rear flank. And I do this every time I play on the Southern team, whether I have a turreted tank destroyer, etc. With the SPGs, I usually advance out to the G8 area, but I think about going further, or I go to the K4 area with an SPG. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, please post below.
Let's go.
Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Steppes. Now, this game is important. Most people think that there's 2 flanks in the game. They think that there's the heavy tank flank, which is on the west side or in the southwest, and the medium tanks, which is on the northeast, and they forget about the middle. The reason why this game is important is I'm going to use a technique to weed out enemy tanks that are sniping from the south that might try to go across the middle. But the enemy is going to actually push pretty far through the middle, and there's going to be many surprises. And I'm not going to have a lot of snipers backing me up. I think I'm only going to end up with 1 TD backing me up. And you got to hope that the SPGs are supporting you. They could be supporting anywhere on the map. But you're going to see some interesting gameplay, and you're going to see why it's important to protect the middle flank. So the first thing that was unusual is 2 T-49s were both planning to come across the middle, but they must know that I spotted them, which is why they diverted. And it is possible to kill them where they're going to, but everything you got to do takes a risk. If I go after one of them or the other, there's a risk that someone else is going to hit me from somewhere else. The one that's there on that just disappeared, that T-49 is the easiest one to hit. You spot him and you shoot across the field, and that's it. But you got the T-49 in front of me who could advance on me, and by advancing on me, he becomes a much bigger threat. And you can see we've got a Mutz and a T-28 prototype sniping in the back, and there's going to be other tanks there. It's going to be more than I expect. Out of the game. You'll notice that I'm using the APCR rounds. I'm already reloading. The reason why I use APCR rounds is because when I play light tanks, I don't fire the gun very often. So why not use the best rounds? And not only do I not fire the gun very often, but the gun on an AMX 1390 is not a high penetrating gun. So I might as well use the best rounds because the tanks that I'm usually shooting against are going to be well armored tanks. Now, you want to come over here to see if you can spot that T-49. I don't know if he spotted me and I didn't spot him. I'm not sure. T-28 prototype missed me and the Fache showed up, and we still have the mutts. So you knock the tree down over here and you keep those tanks spotted. We did some damage to the mutts already. My snipers did. Right now I've got the Scorpion G, the T-32, and the Tiger II, but they're not going to be there forever. So you knock the tree down, and then when you think it's safe to go, see if you can spot something up there. If you're not spotted, then it's safe. And you got to make a decision. Are you going to shoot, yes or no? Not an easy shot to make, and I will expose myself, but I'm also in a defendable position. He's getting stunned, but no damage. Well, let's see. Next time he shows up, we'll see if he's got any damage. Okay, so he's only got 522. He's almost dead. If they're a one-shot and you can kill him, take the shot when you can. And if they do something stupid... But I wasn't spotted. You can hit them in the tail and not get spotted. Okay, so he's dead, and that was because of my spotting. So we got the Panzer 58 Mutts and the Fache, and we still have to worry about the T-49. If you can advance on it, that's the best option. But if they come after you, it's a whole different ball game. Leaving him on 87 hit points is really bad for me. And look at my snipers in the back. The Tiger II and the Scorpion, the only thing I can hope is that one of my SPGs can intervene. So I'm weaving around trying to make him miss, which seems to have worked. The Fache hit me and knocked out my gun. Always repair the gun, and I'm getting out of here. But I want to spot them, so I'm going to turn around, because on the mini-map, they haven't advanced very far, and look at how low their hit points are. The Fache has 63, the Panzer Mutts has 87. I still got the Tiger II and the Scorpion to back me up. Oh, the Tiger II died. He's gone. So now I'm only left with the Scorpion. Now there's a couple ways to take out that Fache. If you're aware of how gun depression works, because of the way the gun bounces around, as you move over the cliff, there's a split second where you have the correct gun depression, which I did, and I fired and I missed. But it's a lucky shot to get that in. So I got to keep him spotted as much as possible. The Scorpion G is not going to be able to help me. Hope that one of those SPGs is going to knock him out or stun him. Somebody took a shot in. I wonder if that was the IS-7. When he gets stunned, that means he's more likely to miss. The Fache is more likely to misfire due to poor aim when he's stunned. So when he's stunned is a good time to go after him. You'll also notice I was keeping the green dot. If you rewind, you'll notice what I'm talking about. I was keeping the green dot on his vehicle, so if I had to hit him with the auto aim and go around, because I was trying to figure out how to kill him, if I had to hit him with the auto aim and come around the corner, I wanted to make sure that that green dot was lined up properly. Now that Panzer 58 Mutts, he's got less than 100 hit points. If he's the only danger, and I got that Scorpion and 2 SPGs helping me out, then I ain't got a problem. But they can absolutely change the gameplay and make it bad for me. I don't see their snipers in the background. The T-28 prototype is gone. The Fache advanced, and now he's out of the game. You never know what's going to happen. Sometimes the unthinkable happens. This IS-3 came up the center, and because of him, put me out of the game. But I hope you learned from this game the proper method of advancing, spotting the enemy as they are in the field. The T-49 is still in the game, the enemy T-49. You advance to the enemy side, spot their snipers, have your allies take them out. If they press you, you pull back, hiding behind as many rocks as possible. If you've got allies who can take them out, then absolutely position to take them out. The mistake that I made is I should have been cautious and I should have gone to the spotting bush first, which I would have done if it were a clan battle. I would have gone to the spotting bush and then advanced forward. But I had, or maybe I even did that, I'm not sure, but I had absolutely no idea that the IS-3 was going to be there. totally unpredictable. I did 1,200 damage, 2,666 spotting damage, 4 minutes into the game. I hope you learned something about light tanks in this game. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Now, as an addendum to the previous video with the AMX 1390, when I was approached by the IS-3 and I was talking about a spotting bush, I mentioned the wrong spotting bush. To the left of my tank and to the left of the IS-3 is a rock that's clearly visible, and there's a spotting bush to the left of that rock that's higher up on the hill. And I was there when I was talking about spotting and shooting at the T-49, I believe. That was the spotting bush that I was referring to. The other thing that I'd like to mention is when I was first approached by the Panzer Mutts in the little alleyway, you'll notice that I kept my front armor pointed towards the Panzer Mutts, and that's why it's important to use the auto-aim. By using the auto-aim, my gun is always pointed towards the Panzer Mutts, and I can rotate my tank so my strong frontal armor is always pointed towards the Panzer Mutts, which increases the chance that he's going to get a ricochet, and it still allows me to defend myself and shoot against him. Now, this is the Fache. This is a French Tier 9 tank destroyer. I'm working on a mission where I have to do 4,000 damage and remain unspotted. It's for the Object 260. And therefore, in order to do it, I need to line up around a lot of bushes, etc. And the other thing that I'm doing is I'm using the Fache because apparently they're removing the Tier 10 Fache 155 from the game. And I don't have it yet. I have the Tier 9. So if I can earn myself the Tier 10, I should be able to keep that as a reward tank. So I'm playing this tank in order to also earn the reward tank. I wasn't happy with what was going on. You can see my allies didn't go further than I did. It's, common behavior. So I decided to take up a different position. And if you watch my videos, you know that I like to flank the enemy's rear or the enemy's side as much as possible. So I'm going to an alternate position, which would be to flank the T-54E1. So if you look on the minimap, find the T-54E1 on the minimap. He's near the M41 Bulldog. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get behind his flank. And I am going to be behind his flank, but it's not going to work out quite the way I want it to. As you can see, he's able to hit me, but he has become unspotted, so I'm not able to fire back at him. And he's going to remain unspotted for too much time. So I'm not in a good position here. And I'm going to find a better position, but in the end it's going to work out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flank the enemy team, and we're going to pin them down, and we're just going to slowly encircle them and put them away. You're going to see some new techniques. So now we controlled the northeast corner, so my rear flank strategy is not going to work because like I can see the M41 Bulldog and get him, but the enemy took up a different position. If you look at the minimap, you'll see we control the north of the map. So therefore I have to find another position to perform a flank, and I'm going to show you that position in a second. And in the meantime, I am going to also do a lot of damage to some enemy tanks.
Enemy armor is hit.
Now you'll hear me say that you want to get as close to the enemy as possible, and even though I'm reversing, I notice that the AMX did reverse. If I get closer to him, he has to come over the hill further in order to do damage to me. Which means that my allies, the Sturr Emil, the WZ-120, and the T-28, will have an easier time shooting back at him. So I'm going to move to position to get close to the AMX to keep him spotted, and if he tries to come after me, my allies are going to back me up. And you never know what you might find over here. So this is a safe position. I do have to worry about the T-54E1, but he's no problem.
Penetration.
When I'm reloading, I give myself a little bit of an angle, so if he fires back at me...
I don't see the target.
If he had fired back at me, I was giving myself a little bit of an angle so he wasn't shooting at me head-on. Now you'll notice that the YAG Tiger 8.8 came into a position where I proximity spotted him and my allies backed me up and they took him out. I got 3 of my allies did spotting damage. Now notice where the AMX is. He's going to become in a pinned down position. I'm going to be able to position myself. This is not the ideal position. I'm going to reposition myself. But the AMX is going to be pinned down. He's not going to be able to do anything. He's low on hit points. He can't really come around the corner, because if he comes around the corner, I've got two snipers that are in the back, and all I have to do is back down, and they'll take him out.
Permission to engage. Target unlocked.
See, that's absolutely what he's trying to do, and he's learning that he's not going to succeed at that. He probably was waiting for me to fire. Well, he's out of the game now. He allowed himself to be proximity spotted as my team was encircling him. Now, the Waffenträger did a smart thing. He took up a good position, which you're going to find out in a moment. And one of our allies is saying that we're winning the war in terms of damage. The SU-152 is now in the open. Now, what the comment I have about the SU-152, he should have seen that my team was encroaching upon his area. He and the AMX should have taken off a minute earlier or 30 seconds earlier. As soon as he saw that his flank was gone and he had no support, he should have regrouped with his team or moved his back far back to the red line as possible. But he didn't, so he exposed himself.
Enemy armor is hit.
Now, because I'm spotted, I have to reverse while I'm reloading to avoid incoming fire. The Waffenträger is setting up to shoot at me. So you'll notice we got rid of that SU-152. The Waffenträger set up a sniping position where he was able to hit me without me spotting him. Now I know that it's clear in front of me. You know, I count how many enemy tanks are on the minimap and how many are left in the game. So I know that there's nobody else in my immediate danger. That was one of my allies shooting. So I was able to advance, and you can see that we're encircling around the enemy. And you want to go high when you want to spot and go low when you want to avoid being spotted. These tanks are going to be difficult to hit. They have, for the most part, their full hit points, which means it doesn't make sense for me to run in and blast any of them, unless it's a double team effort. For example, you see the A44 and the ROM. I can double team some of these tanks if I work with the A44, for example. Now my allies, the KV-3 and the WZ, are coming up. So once they get to my line on the battlefield, it allows me to have less risk by running in and getting behind the IS-3, for example. You always want to take the easiest shot possible, so I'm trying as hard as I can to see if I can line up a shot. And it looks like I had some here and there, and I took a few shots. Very important to know where the enemy is. I'm constantly watching the mini-map to try and figure out, using the mini-map, which direction the enemy is going to travel. Eventually he's going to back up and expose his engine deck, and that's it. Somebody did kill him. They should have better situational awareness. They should know better than... Oh, that was the tank I was referring to. It must have been a tank that was next to him that died. Or this is a different tank, I don't know. But you can see he's exposing his engine deck. And the whole side of his tank. You'll notice that the Panther on my team and the STRV, I think that they're too far back. They should really be more forward. I don't know why they're back there, but that's not good positioning for them. And now it's just cleaning up on the final two tanks. And the action actually happened very quickly. I could have advanced a lot sooner. But the only reason why I didn't is because I knew I had that shot on the T-34-1. But it shows you how easily the enemy can collapse. They had mostly full health. But it shows how easily they can collapse just by surrounding them. When you have a tank like a Waffenträger, shoot and ram. Go for the ram. And if it's the end of the game, I usually don't care if I die. I will go in for a suicide run. Okay, so that's the game. As I was saying, I don't mind losing all my hit points and dying if it means getting a final shot in or ramming someone, which is what I was obviously hoping to do right here. I would have allowed him to kill me as necessary. We had, the score's 15-6. There are plenty of my allies to clean him up. Okay, so I did 1,600 damage, 1,300 spotting damage, 1,700 blocked by armor, and this game showed good positioning, good use of teamwork for the snipers. That's the reason why the snipers are there. They need somebody to spot, and you don't have to be a light tank. You can do it with a TD. You can do it with a heavy tank. You can do it with any tank. You can spot the same way I did. The same technique. You get up on that ridge. You get close to the enemy. So if they want to get you, they have to expose themselves more. You take up positions where you have a solid object between you and the enemy, where, again, if they want to go after you, they have to expose yourself, and you can easily back out of there. It's the same positions every game. So find those positions on the maps. I hope you enjoyed this game.
Time to roll out.
Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the Fache Tier 9 French tank destroyer, and the map is Erlenberg. I am going to get 5 kills in this game. I'm going to do 2,800 damage. And I am working on a mission for the Object 260, which is TD-10, a hidden menace. Cause 4,000 damage and remain unspotted, which tells me I need to do sniping from a distance. And I'm using the camo net to help keep from being spotted. So you're not going to see my normal gameplay playing in the middle of the map. But what you are going to see is the situational awareness is going to become important in this game. I'm going to use the proper situational awareness to determine what's going on, and I'm going to change my play style based on what I've learned about what's going on the battlefield. And we're going to have a great victory for our team, and I'm going to show you some good leadership. You can see we have an enemy tank that drowned, RU-251. I don't like the fact that I'm all the way in the back and most of my allies are behind me. They should not be in those positions. You'll notice that there is a white circle on the minimap, which is my spotting range, and I keep it at the edge of that furthest hill so that any tanks that are parked up on that hill are at the edge of my spotting range, which means I'll be able to fire without being spotted. So I'm getting bored over here, and I see these allies. Look at that. Look on the mini-map. You see a J Panther and a Yag Tiger, and look at where they are. They look like they're on my side of the hill. So I saw some suckers over there, and I thought I'd take some shots at them. And the HTC popped up. I didn't get a chance to shoot at him, and I see a Scorpion. Bye-bye. So that's the first kill. This one I have to reverse in order to shoot over the rubble and hope he doesn't move. Hoping that he hasn't moved, and I'm going to take another shot. You can see that my allies are advancing on the east side.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
Such a lucky shot. I would have completely missed what I was aiming for, and I was still able to kill that tank. Okay, so I think that the target's dried up. Now I got to get that IS-6. The problem is, and I've learned from playing the game, when you give up your flank, the enemy will be able to spot me if I headed directly north, and they'll be able to snipe at me, and I don't have any allies to back me up. So I need to get away from the middle of the map and head towards the red line as far east as possible so I can get around that IS-6. My teammates are not aggressive enough to take him out. The T-25s are not advancing, and there's another tank which I'm guessing is a Panther. They should be taking up better positions. Now that tank over there, you can see him through the little window, but I'm not able to get, I mean, I could get a miracle shot through that little window, but I was unable to, I didn't take any shots against them. But this is not the proper positioning for my team. So I'm going to take up a little bit more of a leadership position, and I'm going to advance my team forward. You want to be a good leader to show your team that it's safe to take up advanced positions. And if you can take up an advanced position safely, your allies will come with you. You'll see that the IS-6 is retreating, but I know from playing the game that you got to either be high up or you have to be more to the north in order to go after him and absolutely keep him spotted. He's at the edge of my spotting distance. And I have the camo net, so I feel pretty safe. And when he's stunned, he's not going to be able to spot me. Okay, so that's 3 kills. We also have the T-25. Oh, and now we have a Leo. And as you can see, the Leo did not take appropriate action. Doesn't realize how vulnerable he was. What he should have done is gotten behind the buildings as quickly as possible. The T-25 is safely behind the building. He's not going to be safe for long. You know, we're going to kill them all. Now from here, I'm not going to be able to shoot at that T-25, but I can advance forward through the open field. You can see that the Panther and the T-25 did finally advance. Our SPGs have decent positions. I think that the ones on the east are too far away. They should have moved to the north. I'm going in because my T-25 is low on hit points. And so I need to back him up. And he's gone. Got 3 kills. We have 3 SPGs. The VK is spotted in the castle and the T-28 HTC. Go all the way to the red line. Very predictable where the enemy SPGs are. What I could have done is let my own SPG take him out. Would have minimized my risk. As you can see, the bat chat hit me because I did not allow my own SPGs to take out the enemy. And look at the route that I'm taking. He's always trying to stay low while advancing forward. Got 4 kills. T-49's coming around. T-25's coming around. Got 2 tanks.
Permission to engage.
Oh, I must have missed my shot. Shoot and ram.
Vehicle destroyed.
So I rammed him to death. The 2 incoming SPGs both missed. So the score was 15-7. I got 5 kills, 2,300 damage, and 700 spotting damage. And it shows how the enemy took a huge risk by not defending the east side. I took advantage of it immediately. They had some tanks on the west side that were exposed. I went after them, and then after that I went and I brought the flank around on the east side. My allies came with me. We pinned them into the corner. Game over. Now, as an addendum to the previous video, there was one point, I believe it was after I was shooting at the Leo, when I headed directly north to the red line. I headed straight in that direction, straight north. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to avoid incoming artillery. I was spotted, and if you head in a direction perpendicular to artillery, artillery has to rotate its entire vehicle, which causes it to go out of aim. Which means that they're just not going to fire the shot. So that's how you cause the artillery to become unaimed. And there's another trick, and it works with TDs also. You do the same exact maneuver where you drive perpendicular, but you got to watch the TD. And if you see that the TD has no turret, such as a Russian SU or a Jagdtiger, and if you see that the tank destroyer has to turn, do a traversal of the entire hull, then you know he's got to aim all over again. So those are techniques that you use to affect the aim of the distant target. The other thing that you can do, if you know that artillery is going to shoot at you, and you know that artillery happens to be in a certain location, you angle your tank towards the incoming fire. So you point your track, you point the corner of your tank towards where you think the SPG is, so when the SPG artillery shot comes in, it's going to hit you at an angle and it's going to be more likely to deflect.
Move out.
Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is a T-54 lightweight. This is a Russian Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Highway. I'm going to get 3,500 spotting damage. I'm going to show you a spotting area on this map, and there's a couple of them. This is going to be a passive spotting location, which means you're going to want to have binocs along with coated optics. I usually like to pick a bush that's near something solid. A little bit further down the hill, there's some solid structures that have small bushes near them that give you good spotting. I first came to this location, I really didn't like it because I didn't think it gave me good coverage. I can't see to the red line, and I cannot see any part of the enemy base. And my team is, I don't think they're going to advance very much. So I moved to this secondary location. And even though I'm going to have a good game here, I'm going to do a lot of spotting damage, I really don't recommend this location. It's good for sniping, but the problem is that the enemy tanks, they've got a lot of hiding spots over there. And you don't have a complete coverage of the enemy base, and you cannot cover the city. There's a lot of things I don't like about this location. And the other location that I was referring to would be where this orange tree is over here. You might have to knock the tree down or find a bush, because like I said, there's solid cover. So if you get spotted, you just hide behind the solid object. So you can see the Type 59 started coming in this direction, which of course was a cause of concern that he might expose me. And there gets a point, the closer he gets, the safer he is, and I can't hit him. So he did expose me, and now I'm in trouble. Now this would be that would have been a great move to ram him. I should have gone for the ram. I did get 1,200 spotting damage, and obviously what I'm going to do is wait for the potential incoming artillery fire, and then go right back to the same position. This is a good position for a beginner who plays light tanks and wants to do passive spotting, or for someone who likes to do sniping. It's a good location. But that Tiger, for example, I would have look at where the T-49 is in the middle of the map by the bridge. That's where I prefer to play. You can spot a lot more from there, and you can really put the pressure on the enemy from that location. When you're doing passive spotting, you can see I did 2,000 damage. But when you do passive spotting, you have to really rely on your allies. And I did knock the tree down, because when the tree is knocked down, it's a little bit better for cover. Usually what I do is when I get to the location where I plan to spot from, I start knocking all the trees down to increase the amount of cover. They're at the edge of my spotting range. While it is possible that they could spot me, it's unlikely. Especially if you hit them in the tail. If you hit that tank in the tail when his turret, right there, if you hit him right there, he would never spot you, even if he's within spotting distance, because there's a building that blocks his spotting nodes. He has two spotting nodes, one on the gun mantlet and the other one on the roof, and they're both obscured. Scores 5-1. Got 3,083 damage already. At the beginning of the game, I might have said I was going to have 3,000 spotting damage. If I did, perhaps I was wrong. 3,300 damage. This is good if you like to do sniping. So you could play with any tank in this location. It's not just for light tanks. You could play here with a tank destroyer. In fact, I highly recommend this for tank destroyers. If you play tank destroyers and you got a reasonable speed, come to this location and you should do fine. I'm going to try that in a future game. Or if you do passive spotting, or if you're a beginner light tank. You see, I don't want to stick around here because you really can't do as much as you want to. Okay, so let's check out this location here. You can see that there's a spotting bush right here with solid cover right next to you. You knock some of these trees down to increase your cover. And that solid base here is going to protect you from artillery and from anyone at the enemy base who might shoot at you. And plus, you're going to get a better coverage area from here. You'll be able to spot the tanks at their base. I like to play in this location, which is right here. You go around under the bridge to shoot over there or to shoot up there, and you drive up alongside the road to highlight the tanks that are up at the top or to take shots at the city. And you can get a little bit of defense if the enemy team advances. So that's why I like this location. However, you need excellent situational awareness. Tanks will shoot at you from all directions. Very rare that I do this maneuver. I did it, obviously, because the score is 10-2.
Where did they go? I don't see the target. Target acquired.
And the amount of damage that I did was enough to kill at least 2 or 2.5 tanks. And he's out. Oh, maybe not. That tank is 559 meters. So you want to make sure you aim in all the way when you're shooting at that range, especially when only part of the silhouette of the tank is exposed. They did change the SPG, so it takes into account the amount of your silhouette that is exposed. I believe that there are 4 amounts, 25, 0, 25, 50, 75, or 100%. I started to head for the city to help out, but they finished the game. I got 3,500 damage, 300 spotting damage. The score was 15-3.
Time to roll out.
Yeah, this clip is the Fache, which is a Tier 9 French tank destroyer, and the map is Malinovka. When I play this type of a tank, or anything that's not a scout tank or a fast tank, what I usually do is go to this position, knock the fence down, get to see if I can spot something, because I'll be able to spot their scouts, and hope that my allies spot some of the enemy and get some shots in. But you have to back up so that when you fire through the bush you don't get spotted. You don't always have that option. If it's a fast tank, you got to take the shot. Unfortunately, I missed him. And look at the way that I'm reversing. This is a standard tactic, although ideally you want to go forward because your tank will travel faster. But I'm reversing to get behind that building as quickly as possible. I'm going to take a lot of damage at the start of the game. And the reason why is because the enemy is going to have good spotting and our team is not. We're going to win this game. It's going to have a pretty cool ending. This game is going to show a lot of different tactics and strategies. You'll see that I've got half of my health left, but I'm still going to play the way I normally play. I'm still going to be aggressive. I'm still going to go do scouting for my team. You'll hear people say, oh, play that tank like a heavy tank, play that tank like a tank destroyer. I play almost every tank like a light tank because that's the way I like to play. Not always, but for the most part, that's what I do. There's going to be some exceptions. In this game, you're going to see me do scouting that's going to help the team win. This time, I'm far enough away from the enemy that they're not spotting me as I fire. Got a lucky shot in. Now the AMX 1390 in the southwest corner, he's trouble. If he kills that T-25 pilot, it endangers everyone who's at the base on my team because we'll all be spotted and the enemy snipers will be able to reach us and to take us out. I anticipated that the enemy would go to that position, but apparently he did not. Now if the T-25 pilot dies, what are your options? Somebody needs to take up the responsibility of dealing with the AMX 1390. Sitting back and camping is a wrong philosophy. You'll notice that we have an SPG, and the SPG, who I believe might be a GW Panther, he's not in a good position right now, and the reason why is because our base is a little bit vulnerable. The T-25 pilot just died. So I decided immediately to respond. I'm reacting immediately to go after that AMX 1390. We're going to take him out. Our SPG is not in a good position because our base is vulnerable, and the AMX 1390, he's not going to last very long, but another enemy tank is going to come and take his position and be within firing range of our SPG.
Enemy armor is hit.
So the GW E100, he took out the AMX 1390. I'm heading for this solid object in case incoming artillery shoots at me. Normally I would say just sit there, but because of the increase in the burst radius, there's no advantage just sitting there. What you have to do is zigzag around. Now I'm going into scout mode. Score is 5-2. The allies and the enemies are meeting at. They did their little conflict at the top of the hill. There's at least 2 tanks or more that are unspotted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Okay, well, a bunch of them just died. But there's going to be 2 tanks unspotted based on counting how many are spotted on the minimap. One of them is the SPG. I've got half of my health left. And at this point, I'm about to enter spotting mode. Now you'll notice that I just barely missed that STRV-S1. And what I could have done is use a high explosive round. If I had used a high explosive round, you get a 1 meter or so burst radius. And with that extra burst radius, you can do damage to tanks by hitting on the ground next to them. I did some testing with it. You have to be really close to their tank in order to get that damage from the burst radius of an HE round. And you know those STRV-S1s, they're very, very sneaky. You never know when they're going to shoot you in the butt. Okay, so I'm doing a scouting maneuver. I'm going to go up through the lake. I'm going to stay as low as possible. Okay, so that STRV is gone. Our SPG took him out. Whenever you have an opportunity to shoot at those tanks, but I'm noticing on the mini-map that he's not going to be within firing range. And look at what happened. The score is 9-5, and the enemy is basically camping base in the normal camping positions. The missing tanks are the Yag Tiger and the enemy SPG, and if you can guess where you think an enemy Yag Tiger would be, that's exactly where he is. If you know what the north base, you're pretty familiar with it, where the Yag Tigers like to hang out, that's basically where he is. So I'm going to get closer. This is where a lot of teams fail, because they don't have good spotting. And there's too many light tanks that refuse to spot. So I'm going in, I'm spotting the KV-4, I spotted the Yag Tiger, and I'm going to take up a spotting position. And I'm going to keep them spotted. If they disappear, they just disappeared, I have to go spot them again. It's going to allow my allies to snipe from the back without them being spotted. And normally, if you want to stay alive,
Enemy armor is damaged.
you know, I could take a shot so I could shoot back at him. But if I had less hit points, I would not be able to do that.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Now you see I took a big risk. I've only got 15 hit points left. So I have to be a lot more careful. Like that right there, totally unexpected. I thought that I was not in his range. But my team took out the KV-4. I'm going to the other side of the rock. So if the Yag Tiger is pre-aiming on the left side, I'm going to spot from the right side. Now the M4A1 pops up. I've only got 15 hit points left. I have to stay very... I have to make sure I'm in a good position. I hit him right in the noggin. Unfortunately, it did not... I didn't hit him in the right spot. I should have hit him on the left. But I hit him a little bit dead center. So the 2 shots just took out the last 2 tanks. It puts me in an untouchable position. Who's going to kill me now? You know, it's just not going to happen.
Bailout. This vehicle is heading.
Okay, so that was 1,200 damage, 800 blocked by armor, 1,100 spotting damage. We win 15-7. I'll let you view the final victory. But that STRV was in the south, and during the battle, he snuck back up towards his base, which was a smart thing for him to do. And because he was out of mind, I wasn't even thinking about what he was doing.
Move out.
Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX CDC. This is a French Tier 8 medium tank, and the map is Live Oaks. This game is important because I'm going to do some spotting. I'm going to do perhaps 2,200 spotting damage for my team. CDC is not a well-armored tank, so you can't really go head-to-head. Look at how many heavy tanks they got on the enemy team. They got a lot of heavy tanks. And I'm going to show you the spotting technique that I use. And you're going to see, you know, how vulnerable the enemy is. You can spot tanks. Look at how easily I'm already able to spot tanks. And I had a game where I did like 12,000 spotting damage just on the tanks on their way to town. But unfortunately, we had a rather large number of heavy tanks. So our heavy tanks all head to town. We've only got 2 snipers, the ROM and the T-25. But look at all those tanks. And if we had SPGs, they'd be nailing them. So this is a spotting position. If you get spotted on the way over here, you want to make a sharp right and get behind these buildings. So this, once you pass that house right there, that's your last chance to take that sharp right and be well defended. Oh, I thought I was playing a game for a second there. Okay, so I just got spotted. But what I'm going to do is, when you can't use that bush, the only option is to go low. Get into the water, and you can do spotting runs. Or you can take over that bush again. So I'm pretty sure that they have 2 tanks in front of me in the sniping position. I got 2 snipers behind me. I do know for a fact that there's going to be another tank there. So you go low and you advance to the next position. The first spotting position is useless unless you got snipers going back and forth. So we're advancing to the next position. We want to find that Tiger 2 and the T-26E4, or in this case I was checking to see if I could snipe. I got spotted, so I took a shot, but otherwise, if I had been undercover properly, I would have allowed my ROM to snipe at the Tiger 2. T-25 pilot, he left. So he's no longer backing us up. So we got to worry about that Tiger 2 and the T-26E4 and a Jagdpanzer. Basically, the reason why I came to this position is because I wanted to snipe at the tanks that are in the town. But you do got to take care of the T-26E4 first. And I'm going to show you how I do it. Basically, you have to spot him, find where he's located, and keep him in a vulnerable position. You're going to see that although I did succeed in nailing these guys pretty hard, they also nailed me pretty hard. Bad news. So they hit me too many times, and they're going to keep on hitting me. But basically, you want to pull them back. The T-26, he's taken the bait. Unfortunately, I'm still vulnerable. Oh, lucky me. So the ROM is going to get shots on that T-26E4. And you got to play the game. If he goes forward, you keep on backing up. And if he backs up, you go forward. And let's see if the ROM can do some damage to him. Got to respot him. And you got to respot him as fast as possible. That Tiger 2 nailed me. Now the big danger, the absolute big danger here is if the tanks in town are shooting at you, you're going to be very vulnerable. And you got to head into the water. And I'm a one-shot now, and one of the tanks in town is shooting at me. I thought, well, you know, we have enough tanks in town to keep them busy. However, that may have been the Tiger who took his time heading to town, and he knows I'm here. He's paying attention to what's going on. And I really shouldn't be challenging this guy at this point. But he played the game and he lost. Our ROM, Borsig, took him out. Now here's where we've got the J-Panther too. Now the J-Panther, he's wide open. My ROM is going to nail him, or can nail him, as long as I keep him spotted. But I have to keep myself alive and keep him spotted. I had very poor playing so far. You see there, he just nailed him for 466. And unfortunately, I got hit by that Tiger 2. I did 2,200 spotting damage. The J Panther made it. He's alive with like, I don't know, 150 hit points. Stupid me. Oh, look at where that tiger is. Had no idea. I didn't have good situational awareness. Look at where that tiger was. I should have been paying better attention. But obviously, if I had gone around the hill that way, they have no artillery, and they probably have nobody in the game who would have been able to hit me. I should have gone around that way and kept that J Panther spotted. It was a tactical mistake that I made. I didn't have the proper situational awareness. And like I said, normally in the game, the heavy tanks are going to go to town and they're going to forget about you. But in this case, we had a straggler, and he kept his eye on me. And that Rom, thank God, he stayed there, and he probably got a lot of damage because of my spotting. But that's the technique you use. You got to make sure that if you're low on hit points, you retreat to a safe position, or you pull back behind friendly lines and you snipe, and you stay hidden. Keep your gun in the game. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Hello, this is David. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I hope that you enjoyed the new tactics and strategy that I presented for you, and I hope that you enjoyed the games. I have a lot of knowledge in regards to tactics and strategy, and I have a lot of good games. I don't have enough subscribers to justify making more videos, and I would love to make more videos. I have the ability to make videos every day. I would like to do videos showing how to scout and how to play strategies on every single map, and all sorts of tricks and tips that you haven't seen before. I'm going to give you some examples beyond today's. I have a video that shows you how to set the engine on fire, how to kill crew members is another one. I have one that I haven't uploaded yet, which shows you how to use high explosive rounds to kill or to do damage to enemy tanks without hitting the tank by bouncing the round off of the ground or off the wall or off the ceiling. There's different ways to do it. And so I've got a lot of different techniques and tactics that I'd like to show you. But again, I don't have enough subscribers to justify the time that it takes to put into some of these videos. There are videos that I spend 8 to 10 hours just to make one video. As an example, the video for how to set engines on fire took all day long for me to do it. So if you do want to see more videos, please subscribe. Spread my username around, which is cheapbooks, and like as many videos as you can. And I guarantee you, if you go back over the past year and look at the other videos that I've uploaded, you're going to find interesting games. They're going to have interesting tips. You're going to see expert level gameplay. You're going to see all the thoughts and decisions that I make while I play the game, where I drive the tank, how I shoot, when I shoot, etc. And sometimes I leave things out, but I do a pretty good job of putting as much strategy in as possible. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the videos. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.